Crystal Council meeting to order. Let us start with roll call, please.
Councilmember Cummings.
Here.
Councilmember Eidbo.
Here.
Councilmember Kamish.
Here.
Councilmember Kaiser.
Here.
Councilmember Onessa Rosen.
Here.
Mayor Adams.
Here.
Councilmember Budaszewski.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have an agenda before us. Looking for a motion on that agenda.
I'll make a motion
ahead,
to
Therese.
approve the agenda.
Thank you. Looking for a second. John?
I second that motion.
All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, next we have proclamations. We have 3 of them today. I will read those into the record at this time. Proclamation for 2023 Crystal Arbor Day celebration for May 3rd, 2023. Whereas Crystal is a tree city and has been a tree city since 1998. And whereas the Crystal Parks and Recreation Commission serves as Crystal Tree Board. And whereas Crystal's Tree Board, the Parks and Recreation Commission, holds an annual community event to recognize the importance of trees in our community and to provide information to residents on the roles trees play in filtering out air and water, in fostering biodiversity and strengthening our communities. Whereas this year's Arbor Day celebration will be Wednesday, May 3rd at 6 p.m. at Winnetka Hills Park, located at 8617 31st Avenue North, and includes park cleanup, distribution of free Arbor Day trees, information on forestry, efforts in Crystal, tree planting, and whereas the City of Crystal wishes to promote the Parks and Recreation Commission, the Crystal Tree Board, and the Arbor Day celebration. Now therefore, I, Jim Adams, Mayor of the City of Crystal, do hereby proclaim May 3rd, 2023 as Arbor Day in the City of Crystal, dated the 2nd day of May 2023. Our second proclamation is recognizing May 4th as a day of prayer and fasting in Crystal. Whereas throughout our country's history, citizens of many religions and beliefs have turned to prayer for strength, hope, and guidance. And whereas the First Amendment of the United States Constitution protects the rights of free speech and religious liberty, including the rights of all citizens to pray. And whereas the United States observes an annual National Day of Prayer and Fasting on the first Thursday of May to recommit to the core freedoms that defined and guided our country from its earliest days, and to celebrate that we can exercise our convictions freely regardless of faith belief. Now therefore, I, Jim Adams, Mayor of the City of Crystal, do hereby proclaim May 4th as a day of prayer and fasting in Crystal, and that Crystal residents are invited to pray and fast consistent with their own faiths for the many freedoms and the benefit of our city, state, and country. Proclaim this 2nd day of May 2023. Our third proclamation is National Police Week and Peace Officer Memorial Day. Whereas the week of May 14th to the 20th, 2023 is National Police Week in the United States, and whereas there are over 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in the communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Crystal Police Department, and whereas 56,000 assaults against law enforcement officers are reported each year, resulting in over 17,000 injuries. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, a total of 23,785 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and died in the line of duty, including 299 Minnesota law enforcement officers. And whereas the name of those dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 556 new names of fallen heroes, including 2 officers from Minnesota, are being added to the National Law Enforcement Memorial this spring, including 224 line of duty deaths in 2022 and 332 officers who died in previous years, but whose stories of sacrifice have been lost in history until now. And whereas May 15 is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all the fallen officers and their families, and the U.S. flag should be flown at half-staff. Now therefore, I, Jim Adams, Mayor of the City of Crystal, do hereby recognize May 14th to the 20th, 2023 as National Police Week in the City of Crystal, Minnesota, and call upon people of Crystal to observe this week in honor of the men and women whose diligence, professionalism keep the residents of the City of Crystal safe, dated the 2nd day of May, 2023. Chief.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Mayor, thank you for that. I just wanted to share with you, because I know we have a couple new city council members that may not know, the organization that helps those families of fallen officers is called the Law Enforcement Memorial Association. It was founded and established in 1974 by now retired Police Chief Jim Crawford, who is still an active member and sits on the Minnesota Lima board. And I'm proud to say that our own Deputy Chief Brian Hubbard is the president of that organization. And over the last couple of months, law enforcement in Minnesota has had to endure quite a sad ordeal with the fallen deaths of 3 police officers in the last few months, and Deputy Chief Hubbard has been the front leader in assisting those families. And so, again, I can't thank you and stress enough the importance of how much we appreciate at the police department your support with your police department, and the fact that we are able to do our jobs very very judiciously, I should say, but also with professionalism, compassion, and integrity because of your support. So thank you for that. And I just want to publicly thank Deputy Chief Hubbard, because all of his work is never gone unnoticed. And the simple fact that he has had to endure, something that a lot of law enforcement officers wouldn't be able to do. And so we just thank him for that. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Deputy Chief.
Thank you.
All right. Next is our consent agenda. I'll read that into the record at this time. Approval of the minutes from the following meetings. First one is the work session, April 13th, 2023. Council meeting on April 18th, 2023, and a work session from that same date. Approval of the list of license applications submitted by the city clerk to the city council. That list is on file in her office. Acceptance of Walker MacBeath's resignation from the Employer Review Board. And that is our consent agenda. Looking for a motion on that one. David?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right, thank you. Looking for a second. Go ahead, Tracy.
I'll second.
All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, next it's time for open forum. Is there anyone here wishing to speak during open forum? Seeing nobody approach, we'll skip by open forum. And we'll next have Dan Olson talk a little bit about the public hearing. I'll be receiving comment, and the council will be considering a resolution referring to the easement at 3401 and 3415 Douglas Drive. City Planner Dan, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As was stated, this is the first item of two items that relate to the finalization of the approvals for the development at 3401/3415 Douglas Drive North. That's the EDO lot at the corner there. So this first item, 6.1, is an easement vacation. This will just remind you, this is a comparison of the 2009 versus 2021 aerial photos. In 2009 was when the buildings were there. They were torn down in 2010, and as you can see in 21, it's just a vacant lot. So for this vacation, there are currently drainage and utility easements on the property that were dedicated in 1962 with the approval of the Perlick Edition, as it's currently called. As part of this development, the lots are being replatted into what's called the Hampton Edition. And what we do in these cases is we ask you to vacate the existing easements from the existing plat so that when the new plat is approved, then those new easements will take effect. So you don't have this overlap or conflicting easements on the property. So here is a comparison on your screen of the existing easements there are on the old plat, and then the new easements that we'll be receiving on the Hampton Edition are there shown to my right, your left. So tonight, you're just being asked to hold the public hearing and then consider adopting a resolution to vacate the existing easements. I'm available for questions if you have any. I should note also that the approval of this vacation is contingent upon the approval of the final plat, which will happen later this evening.
Got it. Thank you, Dan. My question is on the easement. I'm not sure that I've ever seen such a comprehensive easement on all the property excluding the building before. Is that really unusual?
I wouldn't say it's unusual. It's this area here is called Outlot A, which is the common area for this townhome development. So this is all the area owned by the homeowners association. So they just made it the whole homeowners association property as a drainage and utility easement. I've seen that quite often in these types of developments.
So that's fairly typical with
Yes.
that type of ownership.
Yep.
I see. Okay, well, that kind of makes sense. All right. Any other questions for Dan? I think that's the first one I've seen that like that. Okay. At this time, I'd like to open up a public hearing for testimony. Is there anybody wishing to speak specifically regarding the proposed easement vacation? Is there anybody wishing to speak? Seeing no one approach, I will close the public hearing. And last chance for comments from the council. Seeing none, looking for a motion. Anyone? John, go ahead.
Make a motion approving a resolution vacating drainage and utility easements within the plat of, oops, is that the right one?
Yep.
Burlick Addition.
All right, looking for a second. Therese?
I'll second that.
All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Dan. Item 1 of our regular agenda are disbursements of $25,000 or greater. I'll read those into the record at this time. Northland Concrete and Masonry for the Police Department Building Project, $94,727. Stronghold Industries for the Police Department, $49,400. Excel Energy for electricity at the city building and parks, 2 months of streetlights, $26,838. Center for Energy and Environment for Home Improvement Loan and Grant Program, $31,848. Computer Integration Technologies for CCTV cameras for Public Works, and that's $35,390. Met Council for wastewater services for May is $138,936. Min-Pair for employee city required contributions for pay date 4/14/2016, no, not 2016, 2023 for $66,683. IRS electronic payments for federal and FICA withholding for pay date 4/14/2023, $64,596. Total disbursements of $25,000 or greater is $508,420.31. Any questions from the council on any of these items?
I don't have a question, I'll make a comment. It's a light month.
In terms of the number of things, yes. We certainly didn't hit the million mark.
Yeah, if we're ready, I'll make a motion.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I make a motion to approve expenditures over 25,000.
All right, thank you. Taji, do you want to second that?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All right, all members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. We have Dan Olson back again.
Okay, back
Welcome.
for part 2.
Yes.
So this item 7.2 is relating to three different approvals. I'll get back to that one screen. There's three different approvals here. First is the second reading of the rezoning ordinance. The second item is a approval of a resolution for a summary ordinance for the publication of that ordinance in the Sun Post. And the third is a approval of the final plat. So I have a short presentation on this. It's Hampton Companies is proposing to purchase the vacant property from the city's EDA, and they are proposing to build 2 4-unit townhome buildings for a total of 8 units. Hampton is requesting to rezone the property from R2 to planned development. The council approved the first reading of the rezoning ordinance at your meeting on April 18th. So tonight, as I said, you're asked to make these actions. First, approve the second reading and adoption of the ordinance, rezoning the property, and then second, approve a resolution for summary publication of the rezoning ordinance. And then this is the third item. This is the approval of the final plat. Here on the screen is the final plat document. It is in conformance with the preliminary plat that you approved on April 18th. So tonight you're being asked to approve the resolution for this plat. So these are the three actions you're being asked to take tonight. If you do approve these, the construction schedule is to start construction later in 2023 with completion in mid-24. And I'm available for questions if you have any, and the applicant is also on the Zoom call as well.
All right. Any questions for Dan? All right.
Well, I just have one quick question.
Forrest?
So for the plan development, there's like that recreational use kind of criteria, and
Yeah.
I understand that this is a very small site, but I thought it was kind of interesting that recently I was biking through Golden Valley, and they have a plan development right next to where used to be a golf course land, and it's a very similar size, but they kind of carved out a little parklet, if you will, with like a little bench, and it's kind of right next to the sidewalk. Is that something that was considered during this at all, or is that like, not 10% is kind of outlined here, but something much smaller, but still kind of meeting the spirit of it?
Yeah, we didn't really consider that just because of the size of the property. It's only 0.7 acres, and it's a pretty tight site with 8 units on there, and then the parking lot in the back. So it's a pretty tight site, and we just thought with the 2 parks that are within a 10-minute walk, that would really suffice as to meet that requirement. So,
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right.
I got a question, sorry. They're getting some EDA money for this, right? No?
not necessarily. We did receive a approval of a grant from Hennepin County for the property cleanup. So they will be tapping into that, but it's a grant that the EDA received, or the city received,
Okay.
for the cleanup. Is that what you're referring to?
No, I was wrong, thanks. I thought the cleanup was already done, though, wasn't it?
No, that will take place when they break ground.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Thank you.
All right. Looking for a motion on the first one? John, go ahead.
I make a motion approving an ordinance amending the zoning map to rezone property for Hampton Companies located at 3401 and 3415 Douglas Drive North from medium-density residential R2 to planned development R2-PD.
All right, thanks, John. Forrest, did you want to second that?
Yes,
All right,
I will second.
all right. All members in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next resolution, John, go ahead.
Yeah. Make a motion approving a resolution for summary language for publication of ordinance number 2023-01.
All right. Forrest?
So seconded.
All right, thank you. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. John?
Lastly, approve a resolution for Hampton Addition final plat.
All right. Forrest?
Second.
All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Love the efficiency.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Goes by so fast, you put all that work into it, and bam. All right, next item, our community developer, John Sutter, is here to address the council regarding City Code Section 425. John, welcome.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. So as we discussed at the April 18th work session, staff has drafted an ordinance that would repeal the rental license exemption from properties that are state licensed. The rationale behind that is twofold. One is the state has started licensing a classification of properties that we had been licensing because they were previously called something else by the state. And clearly, based on their track record, still need city inspections and would become exempt because the state changed them to a technically different classification. And the other reason is that for those properties that we had been exempting since 2016, we've learned that the state's inspections do not cover the same things that the city's property maintenance inspections do. So those are the two reasons for the ordinance before you. I do have the staff report I can put up that has the other options that we discussed at the work session 2 weeks ago. But I won't do that unless asked to help in any discussion that you may have. And of course, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions or comments on this one? None. I'm going to make some comments. I don't think it'll change the way anybody thinks or votes. However, it's just kind of a little bit of historic background. I think in 2016, when we did this, we had the Community Outreach Task Force having just completed some of our adjustments to our ordinances. I think if this did not come out directly related to that, it was kind of directly related to the spirit of what came out of that group. What we did is we tried to not duplicate efforts that the state was doing. And I think this at the time kind of fell into that category. That being said, it was also during a time of where we were trying to treat homeowners and landlords a little bit more equally because there was such a disparity. And I think that was kind of part of it as well. Just kind of going back to kind of what the culture was at the time. And what else? I think that was the main thing. In terms of this particular change, the goal in mind, I think, is fairly clear. The goal in mind is to get some inspections done on a group of properties that aren't being inspected to the way that I guess city staff and the council would like to see. And with that, I see a direct line in the inspections actually being able to achieve that particular goal. We could, I think a lot of people in here know that my goal is not to go straight to more regulation without proper thought process. And honestly, I've gone through quite a bit of thought process in the last couple of weeks thinking about how this would really play out, and I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys. Other than that, I think that kind of summarizes my comments. So, any other comments? Questions come up? All right, looking for a motion on this item. Go ahead, Tracy.
I'd like to make a motion to approve an ordinance amending the Crystal City Code regarding the licensing of rental units.
Okay, thank you. John?
I second that motion.
All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. We have a few announcements. I'll read those, the ones that are written here. The Parks and Recreation Commission will be holding an annual Arbor Day celebration, and that's tomorrow, May 3rd, Wednesday, May 3rd, from 6 to 7 p.m. at Winnetka Hills Park. That address is 8617 31st Avenue North. The Crystal Charter Commission and the Park and Recreation Commission both experienced additional vacancies in April. So as a reminder, residents interested in serving on those commissions can inquire by calling Crystal City Hall or by going online. Next council meeting is Tuesday, May 16th at 7 p.m. here at City Hall. To accommodate Crystal residents participating in NOMO May, the city waits until June 1st to begin long grass enforcement. A reminder that our meetings and work sessions are open to the public. You can also view them and listen to them via Zoom or on our website after the fact. I got quite a few little additions. Does anybody have any additions before I go?
Can I just make a comment on the no mow May? I mean, is there a way to have a little bit longer grace period before enforcements of the grass? Just,
Give them the spring.
yeah. I mean, no, not the, if it's ending May, what, 30th, 31st, whatever, could we give them like maybe 2, 3, 4 days to get it cut before?
That's kind of how it's gone. John,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember. Yeah, so there's a 10-day grace period built into the process. The standard warning notice that would be mailed on or after June 1st would have a 10-day compliance period.
Okay.
So that's baked in right there.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Reminder, May 20th is Becker Park Crystal's first pickleball tournament ever. On that same day at Becker Park, there is the Crystal Fund Plant Sale. That's Saturday, May 20th at Becker Park. I forgot the hours of that. Does anybody know offhand what the hours of that?
9 to 1.
9 to 1? Okay. June 1st through the 3rd is a citywide garage sale, so if you're interested in getting on the map that designates your place as a garage sale, you need to do that by May 21st. West Metro Fire Rescue District is celebrating 25 years of their existence. They're going to celebrate it with an open house on July 6th. That goes from 5 to 8 p.m. Father's Day celebration is, or I should say airport open house, is on Father's Day, June 18th. Look for waffles as normal in the morning, and airplane and helicopter rides, and some flyovers, and a lot more. I think all of our public safety groups will be there as well. What else do I have?
Antique cars.
Antique cars. Will they be there?
They will
They
be
were
there,
last
yeah.
year.
They
so
were.
I guess-
Okay.
I would assume this year, but
Nice.
never know.
Isn't the bike rodeo coming up as well?
Bike rodeo in New Hope is coming as well. I don't know the exact dates on that.
May 4th?
May
Yeah.
4th, yep, tomorrow. And then the Crystal PD open house is May 13th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Our annual open house.
Right.
Is it your first annual open house? I'm sorry, is it your first annual?
No, so prior to us moving into the new building and prior to COVID, we used to do it annually during Minnesota Night to Unite, and then decided it probably wasn't a good idea to continue having it on Night to Unite when we want people to be at their own parties. And so this will be our first annual, actually, from Night to Unite. So we will do it in the spring from now on.
Cool,
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank you.
like the adjustment. That's nice. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Mayor, members of the council, I did have one calendar update. The Inclusion and Diversity Commission, their regular meeting would normally be the first Wednesday, but that's been moved to the second Wednesday, May 10th, same time, 6:30, here in Conference Room A at City Hall.
Is it permanently, or is it
No,
just
just
this month?
this in May,
Thank
May
you.
meeting.
All right, John.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, looking for a second. Go ahead, Forrest.
Second.
I don't know how that's gonna plan out, you know, somebody's gonna, we always seem to fight for that. We
What?
always fight for.
Fight for what?
For what?
Yeah,
We got the person getting the first, but the second, I don't know if there's gonna be a fight developing there. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. We are adjourned. Everybody have a great week.
Recording stopped.